Alright, so today we're going to show you how to calibrate your pressure meter. This will be just the air portion, the air pressure portion. Here's everything you're going to need. Be the pressure meter and base, bucket of water that is at 23 degrees C or about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. You will need paperwork. In this case, it's MTI Cal 042. You'll also need the calibration tube. I like to use a little top, a squirt bottle, and these two tubes. One of them's the curved tube, the other one's the mostly straight tube. So the first thing we're going to do is get the weight of our calibration vessel and the little lid here. We've got 0.393 pounds. We'll record that. Notice I'm using one line to cross out my mistake and initial it. The next thing we're going to do is move over to the sink and fill the base of the pressure meter with water that we've previously gotten to temp, 23 degrees C or about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Just going to fill the base up completely. Save a little extra water here. The next thing we're going to do is take the straight tube and screw that into the bottom. And these can be difficult if there's concrete wedged up in there. You may have to clean that out. Once you get that in, we'll move this over here to the top. Remember which side the tube is in. That's going to come into play later. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and clamp this down and fill it up. So we're going to make sure we got this filled up. We want to fill this from the same side that the tube was in. So that's why it's important to remember which side the tube's in. Next, we're going to pump this up to the initial pressure. And on this gauge, the initial pressure is 2, marked at 2. Okay, we're going to close the petcocks and release the pressure, and that should stop on the 0. If it stops on the 0, you know your initial pressure was set correctly. Next, we're going to release the pressure out of here, opposite side of where the tube was. We'll open both of these up. We're going to make sure this is filled back up again. Get all of those air bubbles back out. Then we're going to screw the curved tube into the same side that had the straight tube underneath. And then we're going to fill our calibrated tube here slowly and carefully so as not to overfill it. Oops, make sure this petcock over here is closed first, that your tube's empty. We're going to fill this up. Careful not to overfill it. If you're under a little bit, that's not a big deal, because we're going to weigh this to figure out how much water we have in there. We'll fill that up to there. And this is why I like the little top. Put the top on there, set that aside for a minute. The other thing you have to remember, there's water up in this tube right now. So to get that back into the base, we need to open this petcock over here, and that allows the water to run back in. Next, we're going to pump this back up to our initial pressure of 2. overshot a little bit there, so we'll let a little pressure off. Okay, close the petcocks and release the pressure. We're hoping this ends up on about 5. That looks pretty good. Next, we're going to weigh the calibration vessel filled with water and record that information. 1.152 pounds. Now we're going to calculate the weight of the water in the vessel by taking 1.152 and subtracting 0.393 to get 0.759. We're going to take that number and divide it by the weight of the water in the pot, divided by 15.5, and we get, and multiply that by 100, and we get 4.9%. So to finish up our worksheet here, our air content standard, K equals R, and R up here was 4.9. We used an initial pressure of 2, and our air content reading from the gauge was 5.0, giving us a meter error, A minus K, of 0.1%. You're allowed 0.1% error. Anything over that is not acceptable, and you would have to recalibrate. So this one ends up acceptable. Verified by is me, location Boise. And this will be next due 3 months from the original date there. So this will be next due 8/19/2016. The last thing we're going to do here is fill out a calibration sticker and put it down here at the bottom so we're not covering the initial pressure lines, and put the glass back on. We should be good.